Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Clown Show. I'm your host, Ed Smith. Today, we're going to take a look at an interesting league, I guess I'd say, or a little different than leagues that I've previewed before. This is called the Flextacular League. It's a 12-team league. What's important about this league is there are no positions outside of quarterback in this 12-team league. So the starting spots are one quarterback, one super flex, and then 8 flex spots for 10 starters. So chock full of flex stuff. No exotic scoring. So receivers kind of take the cake here, or running backs. They don't become running backs don't become near as important in this kind of a format. It's about getting guys that can score 20 points consistently on a week in week out basis, or high 15 type points. Um, Kind of learning this league for sure. It drafted the summer of 2021, so still in the infancy stages of it, I guess you could say, or 1 year in. Didn't have the results I guess I would have looked for in year one, but trying to keep with the 3 year plan, I'm not terribly upset with the outcome either. There's 20 bench spots, 5 taxi spots, and 3 IR spots. So realistically 38 roster spots here on this 12 team league. So it takes us very deep. I did kind of trade around in the startup draft a little bit to capitalize the quarterback market. So was able to acquire Pat Mahomes, Jimmy G, Winston, Mac Jones, Wentz, Darnold, Kellen Mond, Wolford, Dalton, Flacco, Tyrod Taylor, P.J. Walker, Woodside, and Simeon are my quarterbacks. So a lot of quarterbacks for the 2 spots. As far as starters go, just counting them up here, five, six, 6 depending on what happens with Tyrod and Dalton, and possibly Darnold falls off of that. This is the league that I was able to make a trade that I'm really thrilled about. Actually traded Lamar Jackson for Pat Mahomes and a first round rookie pick this year. So was able to acquire an extra first round rookie pick with Mahomes in a Lamar Jackson trade. So that felt good to get Mahomes on the squad. It was in the middle of the year. I guess it would have been around week 9 or something like that. I was actually getting off a flight in Pittsburgh, and remember the trade was on my screen, and I'm like, did I miss like a car accident or something? And I'm like, I want to accept this before it ends. So this was that league, and so happy about that trade. And even so, with 2 quarterbacks, I feel like it with Mac Jones and Mahomes, I'm poised for a long time at the quarterback position to have the 2 starters and then just fill in around it. The flex positions that I have, probably a little bit heavier, or just don't have quite the skill positions for the 8 spots that I'd like, but just going to keep working on those with Gerald Everett, Quez Watkins, Freddie Swain, Slayton, Moss. That's the running back Moss, and Tyler Johnson, Edwards, Devonta Smith, uh, Deion Jackson, Sanders, Royce Freeman, Walter Funk, Eli Moore, and then Griffin and Long, some tight ends, and Jarrett Patterson, Herbert, and Sargent. You guys know me know I have Patterson, Herbert, and Sargent, and just recently did catch wind that Tyreek Cohen was cut, so maybe that helps the Khalil Herbert shares. And so as this is getting recorded, we do have that in the front mirror, I guess you could say, that maybe Khalil Herbert does get a little bit of a bump, in value, but probably still just a handcuff. And depending on what the new regime thinks of different running backs. And I guess I always caution that whenever we see a coaching change or wholesale coaching changes, I think the player that they like could change, and also when we have a quarterback change, the players that they deal with can change. I mean, if we think back to, a good example is Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay and he commands his people around him. Now kind of think about who was the things before Tom Brady and then who were things after Tom Brady. Now, superstars typically don't change. So Evans and Godwin, they didn't change, but they brought in Antonio Brown. They bring in Gronkowski, and so if you think of the balance of who was, star-studded and got all the activity at the tight end position before Brady, it was Brady and it was O.J. Howard. Those guys were getting a lot of love, and after Brady, they didn't get very much. I mean, it just was they kind of fell off the wagon, if you will, and playoff Lenny came into being after Brady as well, and that was kind of a Brady's guy, and so important to know that when quarterbacks and we have the quarterback carousel moving around, it changes. I mean, if we think to Indianapolis and Michael Pittman came on strong, but T.Y. Hilton kind of faded into the sunset with new quarterback Carson Wentz. And, the same is true, even when you have a midstream player kind of in action. If we think of Tyler Lockett really did well with Russ Wilson, but the second Geno Smith comes in, then DK Metcalf's stats, went through the roof, and he was peppered with targets. So, I guess I just always say, whenever there's a change like that, I always look at the positions and say, hey, it's possible that there's a change in the way the game script goes and who it goes through, and so it's important to kind of be aware of those things as players come. So when I look at these 8 flex spots, I guess I feel like we're a couple players short. I mean, I think Eli Moore is a reasonable player. I'm hopeful that Miles Sanders returns to form and he's a reasonable player. But beyond that, and Devonta Smith is a reasonable player, but now that's a little bit Philly strong, so I don't like to be too weighted with any one position. So that is a thing. I mean, it really is a thing. And so as I look ahead at this team, it is a number of players away. Now we're into year 2, and so we're still not where we want to be. 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and 2 third-round picks, and then a 4th and a 5th, and we do get 101 overall. So I wouldn't be opposed to trading out of that 101 here. If we can get the right amount of capital, but we'll probably go in strong and keep building the quarterback room and making that be a presence where people have to trade with us to get those quarterbacks with the attempt to try to win in 2023. So we're just going to keep throwing quarterback situations at it and then fall back on maybe some of the receiver depth here to get some complementary pieces like Devonta Smith in the later rounds where we can, if we take that quarterback number 1, what's going to happen is that people are going to get on that. We're going to start a quarterback run, and when that quarterback run starts, that means value is going to drop to our other picks, and therefore we can create some value in the running back and receiver room so that we can pick that up with those remaining 4 picks that we have in the first and second rounds. So if we have 5 top 15 picks, for instance, what we're able to do then is push 4 of those picks to be higher end players because people are going to get. We started that quarterback run, and maybe if we can get 4 off the board right away, then we all of a sudden can double back and get some of the top end running back receiver options here and really add to the room of the 3 players that we have that can legitimately start out of 8, and that way we can really add some of those players. And next year we'll be in a position where we'll say, hey, if we have 2 more starters, we're 2 starters away, and so we can do that by trading some of the quarterback depth to get those 2 starters away, or we can just come in and draft those 2 players right away and have a team to win. So that's the plan with this team, and be interested to see how that develops as we go. And want to encourage you guys to comment in the comment section, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and then also tell me what you think about this format. It's definitely a little different format than we're used to, and so it just allows for just a little different play style. And truth be told, I mean, I finished in 12th place here, so can only go up. I mean, I will be disappointed, however, if it does finish in 12th place again. Somebody asked me recently, and I just kind of elaborate on that. If you're going to lose, why not get the 101 every year? And I guess just mentally, I want to keep seeing progress in the team. So I do always try to win. So I did not try to get 12th place here. I did try to win, and it happened. I don't go, bang my head against the wall when it gets to 12th place. I just feel like, okay, there's just pieces I need to put together, and I do rely on my ability to draft and control the draft enough that I don't need the 101. I take it when I deserve it, so to speak, when I earn that pick because the team is awful. But I don't seek after the 101 like, okay, I need the 101 in order to survive or get better. I really think that I can draft out of any of the spots, and I can accumulate enough draft picks that I can go win over time with the principles that I use, whether that be out of the 105 spot. And I also believe that if I have a 105 pick, then what that means is really I'm only two spots out of the playoffs in a 12 team league. So that means I have to jump two teams out of that spot. So if I earn that spot, even if there's some sandbagging below me, it's okay. With that pick, I guess I feel like I need to be able to utilize that pick, the 105, the 205, and the 305. I need to be able to use those three picks to push that team two spots. So I do rely on my ability to make those selections out of those two spots that I don't need to tank, so to speak. I just go with it and realize that, okay, that's two spots away. Now the challenge is for the four people below me. They're trying to also overtake those teams to the playoffs, but I guess I think that they may or may not make enough mistakes that will be as at least as strong of a challenge as it is for me. I mean, if we just think back to last year, I mean, the 101 was definitely, kind of undeniably Trevor Lawrence. But if you were picking at the 105 and you got Najee Harris or Jamar Chase, or in some cases Kyle Pitts, are you really feeling like that was the difference that you could never win? And I guess the answer is no. You feel like if you were only two teams back of the playoffs with picking Kyle Pitts, you should be in a good enough position that you probably are one or two tweaks away from winning. So I guess it depends on what you do with the picks, but I feel like if you took Trevor Lawrence, you probably were going to have a hard time jumping five teams, to get into the playoffs. So I guess that's an important distinction, is that you have to really take your team to another level if you're tanking. So even if you kind of intentionally tank or do whatever you got to do, you put your team in a situation where that early pick doesn't necessarily affect you in a positive way. So that's kind of a little bit of background on just inside of my head. It's probably wrong and all terrible. So I guess I would encourage you guys to tell me what you think about all that content. That was a rabbit trail I didn't intend to go to. But looking at this team as far as draft picks and just kind of in closing is, we do have 3 firsts, 2 seconds, 2 thirds, the 401, the 501. So that means we have the 101 and the 201. And I'm excited to, really make a move here and try to solidify 6 of those 8 starting spots with these draft picks. So I feel like I have 2/3 right now, and so I want to get 3 more starters out of this draft, and then we're 2 away, and then some bye week replacements away, and so hopefully some of these guys can come into something, or I can maneuver around. And next year, with just adding 2 more pieces to the puzzle, hope to really be able to go compete at a high level and feel like guys like Mahomes and Mac Jones will still be playing at a high level next year. So won't be in danger of losing the edge at the quarterback position, even if Jimmy G and Winston and Wentz and some of those guys are no longer even items in the NFL. I feel like I have enough quarterback depth with Mahomes and Mac Jones to really be moving forward. And then also the 101 this year, we're going to have a player at 101 that's going to kind of add to that quarterback room, that even if they're not excellent this year, they will be excellent next year, hopefully. And I mean, if I'm thinking back to like a Trevor Lawrence or Joe Burrow, in the last couple of years, or Kyler Murray, in the last 3, any of those players would have been fine to to have there at the 101, and to have kind of in waiting, if you will, for this team to take a next step forward. So probably won't, as I'm talking through, won't trade out of that spot. We'll just take that quarterback available in this draft, and we'll keep going from there, and we're going to push the value down the chart, if you will. So thank you guys all for joining me. Again, my name is Ed Smith with the Fantasy Football Clown Show. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and look forward to your comments in the comments section. Hit that notification bell and hit that like button on the video if you like the content. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow again with the Fantasy Football Clown Show, previewing another team.